Hello everybody, this is Lila in Hawaii. I'm making some ribbon pansies today, so I thought I'd do some videos of them and show you how easy they are to make. The only problem these days probably is finding the ribbon, because it has to be wired ribbon. Doesn't have to be, but it needs to be the same on both sides, and wired ribbon certainly works best. So I happen to have some from years ago, and I thought I'd use it up and show you how you can use it and make lovely pansies. But also, if you don't have the wired ribbon, you can paint some linen, some nice Irish linen or some silk, and spray it with starch and cut it into ribbons and try that. In fact, I've got some drying out on my lanai right now. I was hoping to show it to you, but I don't think it's quite dry. Anyway, I was going to show you how the pansies look. This is one with 3 petals in the front, and this is I call this the beard, this part, and then 2 back petals. So that's one way you can make them. Another way is like that, and put a ribbon tie in the center. And this one is a really strongly variegated ribbon, so it comes up all sort of different ways, but anyhow, that's the same type of thing. Here's one I made, and I put 2 different kinds of ribbon, and in the center I put 3 white French knots and 1 black French knot. And then the other side of that is this one. Oops, turn it that way. There it is. That's the opposite. I used the same 2 ribbons, but change them. See, that, like that. So the green is at the back there, and the burgundy is at the back. And this one's the same. It has 3 white French knots and a black French knot. Those are the centers of those. I'll just hold it up. Maybe you can see it better on my hand there. I love making these. This is a narrower ribbon, so it comes out smaller. And here's another one that I fiddled with. Have not made a center yet, but the ribbon on the bottom part is not wide, but it's a suitable ribbon, and then the 2 petals at the back are organza ribbon. And here's another. This is a big pansy, and this one doesn't have the 2 ribbon petals behind it, because I like to use these and sort of crunch them like this. You could do this with any of them, of course, but I think for this, doesn't need anything in the back. It's just really cool like that. I like that. And then you can play with it and shape it, however you want. Because pansies do come in all sort of shapes. Unfortunately, here in Hawaii, we cannot really grow them. And here's another pansy. This one was made with 2 different ribbons, and then I pulled a piece of orange ribbon through the center. This one doesn't have a center, but it was a little picot edge ribbon, and I made, this is the tongue or whatever it's called there, and then the 2 back petals. So that's that. So I'll just put those aside. And I pulled out one of my dyed butterflies here, just to show you that you can fiddle with these and make them into something. So let's see, what'll I do? Okay, let me try that in the center. And I've got some lace. Let me see here. Looking for some lace. I've got some lace like so. Yeah, that might work. Or I've got a piece of tatting. Might be a bit much, but you could layer it like that and come up with something rather pretty. And these look nice on box tops or something. Let's see what else would work. I've got another butterfly here. Another little one, a lace butterfly that I dyed. And for that one, you could take a little, little piece of lace there that I've dyed. All this is hand dyed, and you could put the butterfly there somewhere. Make a little sort of collage out of it, and then do something like that. So I know if you don't know how to make them, you probably want me to show you, and I can show you briefly. I kind of started so I'd have something half done. You need 2 pieces of ribbon, and the first one, the biggest one, the one with the tongue at the bottom, you fold like that, and it's about 8 inches, and it's about 1.5 inches wide. Can be any, but 1.5 inches wide will make this size pansy. And you fold it, I always say it's like a goalpost, you know, for football or something. And then the stitch pattern is, you stitch along here, up the side, you folded these forward, like that. You folded those forward, and make sure they're even lengths on each side. This part, which is the tongue, should be longer. And when you're folding the ribbon, if it's variegated like this, which it usually is, make sure that the part that you do not stitch is the part you want to be the top. Like, in other words, this is going to be the part I don't stitch, so it's going to be paler, if that makes sense. Okay, so I've started stitching this one, and you go, the stitch pattern is you just go round. It's easier if you put a pin just to hold it, and you want fairly big stitches because you want it to sort of pleat more than gather. Do not pull the wires out because you'll find it's not correct. The wires are not in the proper position, and you need the wires to shape the pansy. So I pull it up as I go, like that. And this. And I must say, this is hard. You need a long needle, and it's hard to get through this kind of ribbon. It's quite strong. It's kind of like a taffeta in a way, but it's hard. So you need a good sharp needle, and you need a milliner's needle is the best. A long needle, in other words. One that's used for making flowers. So I used milliner's needles, and they're nice and sharp, and they're slender, and they work very well. Okay, so I've done that. So I'm coming down to the last side here. You go across the ribbon for the last piece, and then pull it up, and you'll see it's making 3. And then you're going to join that one to the beginning one, so you'll join them together. So I find the beginning as best I can. Make sure you don't go through the thread, because I've done that before, and that if you go through the thread, you can't pull it up tight. And sometimes when you pull it, you're going to find that it breaks. So you really need a double thread with a knot. So that's that part of it. So I'm going to have to just take this over here, and I'm going to fasten that off a little bit just to hold those 2 ends together. And of course this all gets shaped later. And you can have the tongue, or whatever you like to call this, the beard or the tongue, you can have this showing underneath the outside petals, or you could have it this way, and then you'd have to shape it the way. I tend to like it underneath. Okay, so this is this part. I'm just going to put this down and do the 2 back petals. Now the 2 back petals, I've gone ahead and sewn those because I didn't want to take the time. But you take 2 pieces of ribbon. If it's variegated and you want it to be the same, you need to cut it, and then you overlap it like that. If you don't need to cut it, or you don't mind if it doesn't look the same, you can just take a piece like this and just simply fold it like that. But in this case I wanted to cut it. So I've stitched around, I've done the stitch pattern, so now I'm just going to pull it up. And then I'm going to fasten it off when it's pulled as tight as it'll go. These are fun to make, and they're very vintage looking. And of course, you can do all kinds of things. You can put some gold edging on them, a little gold paint, you can dye them, you can crunch them up, you can dip them in tea. I'm going to show you one that I crunched up in a minute. Okay, so that's that. So now those are the two back petals, and they will look like that. And of course you're going to fiddle with these later. I think I need to cut this one off, and then I'm not going to take too much time to do this, but then when you've got it to where you want it, you're going to do this and put those two back petals there. Now I don't want to spend any more time on that part of it because it takes a little time and you've got to fiddle with it, and then you've got to put a center in there. Okay, so then, now what do you do with these when you've got them? Well, you can put them on boxes. You can do something like this, as I say, make it into kind of a little composition, put it on a box. You can take a tattered doily and you can play with it and put, you know, something there and make it the top of a pin cushion maybe. Let's see what else would look. I like that one there. Anyway, you can do all kinds of things with those, but I decided today to make a tassel, a pansy tassel. So the first thing is, I've got, better get this all out of the way. I've got lampshade fringe that's previously dyed. It's got sort of a purpley color on the bottom and it's green, and what I did was it was about 8 inches wide, and I rolled it, or really folded it and glued it, and then I made a sort of a binding right there on it. Oops, there we go. So that's going to be that. That's the base of it. Then I made a nice crinkled and this is a crinkled pansy, but I like these. And what you do is you crinkle, you use boiling water, put your ribbon in the boiling water, crinkle it up and let it dry, and then use it just the same way as I showed you. So that's going to go on there, and I've already attached a piece of one of the strings off this. That's going to be the hanger. And on this, in this case, I'm going to glue it. So the first thing to do is glue my pansy on, and at the back I've got where I put that center black piece. You could sew this too, or you could hot glue it or whatever. So that is going to go there. I don't know whether this is going to dry in time for me to show you it totally. Anyway, so that's going to be there. And then the next thing is I'm going to put some, I've got it all sorted out here. Okay, what was I going to do next? I was going to put some beading. So I've got a piece of beading, and I'm going to kind of dangle that. I thought it'd be kind of cool, just dangled. So I'm going to put it where I've made that neck. I thought I'd just sort of put it like that, right where the neck is, so that it'll hang down like so. Okay. I have to put more glue under this part of the pansy. Okay, so I've got that, And now that I've got the beading on, got the pansy, I've got the beading. It's kind of hard to show it to you. So that much is done. I've got to get these out of the way. Then I chose a few pieces of lace that I thought might be nice. I decided I'd make just kind of like a little collage with the lace, glue it all together, because I didn't have one piece completely. So the next thing to do is I'm going to leave this flat, and I'm going to put the biggest piece first. Take some glue. And put that over there. Then I've got a green piece. This is all hand-dyed lace. So I'm going to put that somewhere there. And then I've got a piece also hand-dyed, but this one's a little paler. But I thought that might be kind of nice on there. Little thing there, I need to cut that off. Let me see where that can go. I think I'll put that there. Now the problem with showing you this is I really pretty much have to let it sit, but I'm going to try very gently. I need to put this over here, this one. I'm going to see if I can do this real easily. Okay, so there it is. I'm going to just sort of put it on my hand like that. So there's the pansy, there's all the lace and the beading, and then there's the fringe at the bottom. I'm going to lie it down, and I'll see if I can kind of pick the camera up or something. So there it is there. Makes really nice tassels. You can make a rose and put on the top of the tassel, but that's an easy way to do it. So I hope you enjoyed that, and if you have any questions, please let me know.